right? There's always that one, right, that comes up to you at the very end. He came up to John Stevens Aquari at the end, and he said, why? Like, what made you keep going? And this is what he said. He said, my country, Tanzania, didn't fly me 5,000 miles to start the race. They flew me 5,000 miles to finish the race. He just refused to quit. And that truly embodies what we're about. It's just not quitting. I don't care what it is. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care the ups and downs. Look, we're all going and growing through situations. Most of us go through situations. It's important that we understand that how we can grow through situations. That's the key, right? It's how we come out on the other side of things that are sometimes in our mindset are meant to stop us, are meant to stifle our growth. And oftentimes those are the things that will propel you to another level. Whenever I look back at situations that I thought were meant for, for bad, right? To stop me from going to another level. Those were the catalysts that propel me to another level. Right? It was when all the family members said, hey, that's not for me. All my friends were like, my boys, nah, I can't do that, man. Look, what business are you starting this time? It was when everybody who I thought had my back had a knife in their hand when they were patting me on the back that I realized that it was up to me. If it is to be, it was up to me. All right, family, welcome to the We Won't Quit podcast. I am your host, Mike Humes. Always excited to be with you, and really excited this week because I actually get to go into a topic. It's just me. So you just got your boy this week by myself, right? No one wanted to come and join me this week. No, I actually, when launching the podcast, my thought process was more or less to really be able to share in detail what We Won't Quit means in between some of the different guests that we're able to have on the show. And so for the last, month, even prior to launching, folks have been asking me, well, where'd you get We Won't Quit from? And those who know me or have watched me train or seen me speak have always known that my quote is, it's impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit, right? For the last 2 decades, whether it's a crowd of 10 or 10,000, whether it's, in someone's living room or at the MGM Grand, right? I've been, blessed to really share my quote and what it means and coming from where I came from and really how I've been able to live and embody that quote and be inspired by so many other people who just refuse to quit. And so that's really the essence of We Won't Quit. Never forget writing that in my planner. Actually, that's not what I wrote. I wrote my quote. It's impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit. As I was journeying into entrepreneurship, I was an entrepreneur. I was working 70, 80 hours a week as a postal worker. And I was trying to find my way out of that job, right? At some point, I knew my day job was not my destiny, right? And so I was trying to find my way out of that career and had a bunch of appointments set up, right? I had paid some of my partners, my fellow coworkers, to deliver some of my mail for me, right? Take part of my postal route. And all of my appointments quit. So not only am I out of the money that I spent, but I'm also, wasn't going to bring in any additional revenue, right, into my business. And I remember writing in that in my calendar, right? That's got to be an episode 2, that journal from May of 1999. I'm gonna have to bring that out. So we'll get more into that then. But what I wrote in there was, Mike, you can't quit, right? I was talking to myself, and I just said, hey, you can't quit. Right. I filled it in just like it was another appointment, and it kind of evolved to, you can't stop a person who won't quit. You can't stop a man who won't quit. And of course, the lady said, what about us? And it became, it's impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit. So that's a little context there as to the quote. But when we think about folks who don't quit, oftentimes because we're a sports driven society, it's easy for us to look at it as sports, right? And look at folks who don't give up, right? We know that we have the playoffs going on right now. So no matter who you're rooting for, who you like, right, in any particular sports, but we know the NFL playoffs are going on right now. Folks are playing until the last bell. Some, it'll be the last time they ever get a chance to play competitively because they won't even get a chance to compete again next year, right? Life is going to take place. Life is going to happen. For others, they'll be on another team. So you never know when you'll get a chance to be back in the playoffs, right? You hear all the time from athletes who aspire to get to that ultimate level. Some achieve it in their very first season and then they never get back. And their mindset is they expect it to be back over and over. It would be just that easy to repeat, and it never happens. And so, but there's something to be said about those who don't quit. Who get to a certain place in life, a point in life, and they just decide, you know what? And listen, it's easy to give up. The easiest thing we can do is quit. And so I wanted to make sure that we kind of broke that down a little more in detail. And so as I was breaking it down, I was doing some research, and I heard about a runner, right? I'm a huge sports fan, as I've already said, and I heard about this guy who I never heard about before in my life, right? I've gone to the Olympics. I went to the Rio Olympics. What was that, 2016? I think Rio was 2016. Yeah, I think it was 2016. Amazing experience being in Rio. Yeah, it's every 4 years, so it had to be 2016. The Summer Olympics in Rio. It's hard to remember because, we had the pandemic in 2020, so Olympics was kind of, didn't really take place the same. But in 2016, I had an opportunity to travel to Rio and experience the Olympics. And what I'll never forget was the track and field. I'll never forget just the experience of being able to walk through the streets of Brazil and to be able to walk into that arena, the stadium, to be able to see Usain Bolt and so many other great athletes compete. And to think, man, that for 4 years, they worked to get to this point. For 4 years, right? You're training. And sometimes, your time is only a second off than what it was, right? But you constantly, that 1 second makes the difference between first place and sometimes fourth place, right? You think about that, right? But there was a runner I never heard about who was actually like the very first East African to ever win, right? The first African to win a marathon. And his name was Abebe Bikila, right? Some of you probably already familiar with Abebe Bikila. And it's crazy why his story isn't known a lot more, just because of what he accomplished and, just how he went about becoming a world champion. And so for those who don't know the story, to give it a little more context, he's from Ethiopia. And during that time, first of all, Ethiopia is like one of two, I believe it's one of two countries, the other being Liberia, that have never been colonized, right? Or fallen under African countries, rather, that never fallen under colonization. So for colonization, of course, is the discovery or conquest of a settlement, of one particular body over another, right? That's not bad for a fifth-year sophomore, right? I know my folks think I don't know a little something, but of course we can Google anything, right? But here's what's funny though, when I looked that up and as I was thinking about Abebe Bikila and understanding his story, we see athletes today start training. Almost as toddlers, right? We have them out there running. We have them in AAU. We have them in Pee Wee League, right? I played ball from the time I can remember, right? And all sports, baseball, basketball, football, right? And this gentleman didn't start running until he was 24. Didn't start till he was 24. And going back to his country, right? Although he didn't start till he was 24, he's the son of a shepherd. And so in Ethiopia, growing up the son of a shepherd, spending a lot of that time you had Italy, you had the Italian rule trying to, take over Ethiopia during that time. And so he spent a chunk of his life almost, in the outskirts of Ethiopia, or trying to avoid their rule, so to speak. Italy occupied Ethiopia from 1936 to 1941. And a lot of scholars don't really consider it them being colonized simply because, they were able to regain their country in its totality, and Haile Selassie was able to sit back on the Ethiopian throne back in 1941. So giving that some context, right? And I only bring up Italy in that whole context is because this gentleman competed in the 1960 Olympics in Rome, right? So think about this. Gentleman didn't start running until he was 24. 24 years of age, didn't start running. He saw races that had taken place and said, you know what? I want to do that. Started running at 24. They realized he had a gift of endurance. He could run. Didn't make the Olympic team. He didn't even make the team, right, for 1960. It wasn't until one of his fellow countrymen broke his foot, right, while playing football, that he was selected to even be on the team. It's crazy to think about it, right? He's a last-minute replacement, all right? If it's the NFL, he's on the practice squad. And we know right now those on the practice squad, even in the playoffs, some of them don't even get paid, right? I think we just read about Dak Prescott having fellow teammates just chip in $500 a piece to just pay the practice squad Cowboy fans, right? I mean, Cowboy fans. Look, so many Cowboy fans out here, but to pay the Cowboy, those players, right? He had his fellow teammates to do it. So here's the point. This gentleman didn't start till he was 24, barely made the team. And so they're trying to fit him for a shoe, right? For the race. It's kind of last minute. And all of the shoes that they fitted him for were uncomfortable to him. Every single shoe. He said, I can't race in this, I can't race in that. It's just, it's size 13, I believe is his foot. So not too abnormal, right, for someone who's a runner. But none of the shoes felt comfortable. He was uncomfortable. And I mean, you're talking about 26 miles. So this gentleman, Abebe Bikila, had the audacity to run the race barefoot, to run 26 miles barefoot. Like, just think about that. First of all, let's just think about running 26 miles. All right, that's not going to work for me. It's not going to work for me. But this gentleman ran 26 miles barefoot. And what makes his story so amazing is not only making the team last minute, not only getting a chance to run, but running in Rome. Running in a place that at one point was looking to, and actually did, occupy his country. I mean, just think about that. So he goes to the Olympics, 1960, right? He's in Rome, and he's competing. He's the only one there barefoot, right? No one's running barefoot. Now think about the fact as well that the race, this is the last actual competition in the Olympics because it's so grueling, it's so long, right? 42 kilometers, 26 point some odd miles. And in Rome, I've been to Rome, had the ability, had opportunity to travel to Italy. It's, beautiful, to see the Colosseum, to go, it's the cobblestones are just amazing, right? The streets are so narrow and hilly, it's just up and down. I can't imagine. I was clipping up walking through the city, right? With my Gucci's on, right? This guy is running 26 miles barefoot. No one knew who he was. And he's, running past stone obelisks, right? Which these monuments rather, right? That were literally stolen from his country, from Italy, right? And he's running past this and being inspired by it. And so if you look it up, you'll see it, right? It just blew me away to watch him run 26 miles and not just start the race, but finish the race and win the race and set an Olympic record, right? 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 16 seconds is the time that Abebe Bikila finished the Olympics ahead of everybody else. And he still had energy. I mean, he was bouncing around, and one Italian newspaper wrote that it took Mussolini's whole army to conquer Ethiopia, but it took one barefoot Ethiopian to conquer Rome. All right, just think about the power in that. And here's what he said. He said, I wanted the whole world to know that my country, Ethiopia, has always won with determination and heroism. All right, he just refused to quit. Now, look, he went on the following Olympics, to do it again. Broke his own record. This time wearing shoes, right? 4 years later, this gentleman started running at 24, won the Olympics at 28, right? Just 4 years in, and continued to be a world champion, and was the first back-to-back winner as well, right? That had never happened. I'm not even sure to date. I'd have to look that up. Someone can look that up. How many folks have won it back-to-back? But this gentleman literally won the race, and he broke his own record. Second time, 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 11 seconds is what it took him to cross the finish line. Wearing shoes. But how powerful is that when you think about the things that we could accomplish that we don't set out to do? Because being the first East African to do it, the first, man of color to cross that finish line and become a world champion. Do you know how many people he inspired to become runners? Right? We look at Tiger Woods and we look at what he accomplished and how many, future golfers came about as a result of seeing him, right? The commercial with Nike, I am Tiger Woods, right? Like Mike, right? All the commercials that we saw. I want to be like Mike, right? Just growing up, for me, that was just something obviously named Mike, but seeing that over and over and over. And so it's amazing the things that we can accomplish if we refuse to quit. And so that's really how this came about. It was the thought process behind not quitting, behind, taking things to an entirely different level for ourselves and our life, and knowing where we want to go. Here's the thing. He actually competed in the 1968 Mexico City Olympics to actually win for a third time. Like, he was going to become a three-time world champion. And if we really want to get into someone who didn't quit, we could go to this story, right? Because Abebe Bikila didn't finish the race. He actually broke a bone in his foot. I think it was about the 10-kilometer point. And his fellow countrymen from Ethiopia, Mama Walda, right? I'm sure I'm probably not pronouncing that accurately, but he won the race. His fellow countryman won that race, a good friend of Abebe Bikila's. But you know who the most famous person from that race in Mexico City was? It wasn't Mama Walda, and it wasn't Abebe Bikila, who had won twice. It was the gentleman who finished last. It was the gentleman who finished the race last, the one who truly embodied that it's impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit. And that person, most people are familiar with, right? John Stevens Akhwari. Most people are familiar with John Stevens Akhwari's story simply because he never gave up. He refused to quit. 42 kilometers, right? We already know. There's 75 runners. 18 quit, right? Because of the heat. The altitude didn't start the race till after 5:30 because of the heat. They talk about how many records were broken or set, and how many runners and sprinters and jumpers were able to take advantage of the high altitude, to really help boost their performance, if you will. But when you're talking about long distance running, that high altitude is not playing nice, right? It ain't playing fair. It's not helping them. And John Stevens Akhwari collides with another runner. It's at the 19th kilometer. He dislocates his knee, hurts his shoulder, hurts his head, right? Stops, gets bandaged up. Mama Walda, I mentioned he won the race in 2 hours, 20 minutes, and 26 seconds. John Stevens Akhwari just said, hey, I refuse to quit. And he kept running. They had actually already awarded the gold, silver, and bronze medals. The Olympics is over, right? This is the last event, so it's already concluded. They've already given the medals out during the closing ceremony, right? It's done. And this gentleman who fell, dislocating his knee, refused to stop running, refused to quit. He said, my parents didn't raise someone to give in. He said, I refuse to be the 19th. Right, when he was asked the question. And so an hour later, news reporters get wind that there's a competitor that's still out there running. So, they got the lights around him trying to, assist him in his journey toward the finish line. Some of the spectators come back because they realize there's another competitor that's still out there. Word starts to spread. And so in the arena, if you take a look at it, right, you can YouTube it, you'll see, right, the crowd as they're there gathering back just so they can salute this gentleman who's oftentimes walking, but he's still, running. He's bandaged up and he's making his way into the arena. And it's the end of the story for me that's the most powerful. It's because of what he said. It's what he said at the end. When that one reporter, right, there's always that one, right, that comes up to you at the very end. He came up to John Stevens Akhwari at the end, and he said, why? Like, what made you keep going? And this is what he said. He said, my country, Tanzania, didn't fly me 5,000 miles to start the race. They flew me 5,000 miles to finish the race. He just refused to quit. And that truly embodies what we're about. It's just not quitting. I don't care what it is. I don't care where you are in life. I don't care the ups and downs. Look, we're all going and growing through situations. Most of us go through situations. It's important that we understand how we can grow through situations. That's the key, right? It's how we come out on the other side of things that are sometimes in our mindset are meant to stop us, are meant to stifle our growth. And oftentimes those are the things that will propel you to another level. Whenever I look back at situations that I thought were meant for, for bad, right? To stop me from going to another level. Those were the catalysts that propel me to another level. Right? It was when all the family members said, hey, that's not for me. All my friends were like, my boys, nah, I can't do that, man. Look, what business are you starting this time? It was when everybody who I thought had my back had a knife in their hand when they were patting me on the back that I realized that it was up to me. If it is to be, it was up to me. That it was going to take me becoming that person who just refused to give in, who refused to quit. Thus, it's impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit. So that's really it, family. What is it this week that you can refuse to quit on? What is it this week that you can just look and say, you know what? I'm gonna go back at that thing one more time. I'm gonna make a decision to give it one more go. I'm not gonna quit. Didn't get the score you wanted on that exam, that test. I'm gonna do it again. Apply for a new position on your job, didn't get it. When it opens again, I'm gonna reapply for it. Tried a business, failed it. I'm gonna try it again. Maybe didn't, respond or didn't react rather to a situation with your loved ones or your kids, and go back and do it again. That's the beauty of being able to be given the next day. I mean, given another opportunity to do things over again, right? So we can come back and do it better. So yeah, you just got me this week. And hopefully the story's been impactful for you to understand that the only way you can fail is to quit, but it's truly impossible to stop a man or woman who will not quit. All right, family, look forward to seeing you next week. This has been another episode. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this information, this content, if it's been beneficial to you, if you're driving, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Know that this wasn't my plan, right? Understand this wasn't part of it. I've done well, right? Sitting behind a microphone, rambling, right? Traveling to studios, or whether it's in my basement or in different parts of the country, finding and identifying folks who truly have inspired me. So much so that I want to get their stories out and allow you to be able to glean from their knowledge and their wisdom of just never giving up, never giving in. And know that you have a story inside of you. Because no one could have told me growing up the way I grew up. No one could have told me being a C student. No one could have told me, right, barely graduating as far as I'm concerned, right, going to the local college, fifth year sophomore, becoming a mailman, knowing that that's what I was going to do for the next 40, 50 years. No one could have told me that I would be able to, earn a 7-figure income and be the youngest to accomplish that in a company that's valued at, now billions of dollars. No one could have told me that could have happened for me, right? Because I don't have that piece of paper on the wall that society says we need, right? I believe it was Malcolm X who, when he was asked what's his alma mater, he said, my alma mater is books, right? So there's nothing you can't go out and look and learn and grow. And now, of course, even listen to via podcast, via so many different ways and avenues to be able to gain the knowledge, the information that someone else has laid out for you to be able to take yourself to an entirely different level. So let's go get it. Let's become better. Let's become stronger. And let's make it happen. All right, family, God bless. Another episode, We Won't Quit podcast. Look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Hey, family, you got to go to the website and check out Jack Design, just everyday creativity. I've known John Cook since he started this company at 14, but I've known him his entire life. He's been an artist his entire life. He's just 15 years of age. And Just Everyday Creativity, or Jack Design, isn't just an apparel company. It's an action. It's an attitude. It's an attribute. because this young man puts his heart and soul into the apparel that we get a chance to wear. Whether it's the Empathy collection, you feel me? I love that piece. Or whether it's the Masterpiece collection, the one I'm rocking right now. Go check out the website. Don't forget to put Don't Quit 22 in at checkout and get a discount. Jack Design.